Hey there everybody, it's Nathan Kuhl, and in this episode I want to talk about clipping as it pertains to photography in general. It's something that you've probably seen before if you've used Lightroom, Photoshop, possibly some other programs. Unfortunately, this is something that is quite either misinformed when it comes to getting professional results, or else there's some information that's lacking as well. So what I want to do is I want to cover what it really is, and then how you can detect it, how also some software is completely inaccurate on what it's showing you when it's indicating that something is clipped, and how you can get better results to know and validate better what that clipping is. Now, clipping itself, just to start from that real quick, it's a matter of just seeing something exceed a certain limit. So this is something that's common in any type of technology. In the sound world, this would be where too much of a signal is coming in from volume, for instance, and then the limit that it reaches will stop, and they will then clip that type of amplitude coming in. Well, the same thing happens with color. So if we're talking about the typical type of clipping, which is highlight or shadow clipping, what we're talking about is when highlights or shadows, which are on near the far ranges of the tonal range, finally exceed their limits. And the limit that we have in color photography is either pure white or pure black. So when highlights start to move toward the white region of the tonal range, we get highlight clipping because the highlights have exceeded their impure state, reaching then what we call a pure state. So pure white, or in the other end of the spectrum toward pure black. The same thing happens when we're talking about color. So color clipping is a little bit different, and I'll touch on that really quick, but there are actual three types of validation processes that I recommend. Clipping is one of them, saturation is another, and then of course soft proofing if it's required. These are validation steps along with a lot of other information that I include in my book, Mastering Color in Photography. I have a link to that down in the description for this video, and I'm going to cover a little bit of detail here on what that is by showing examples and demonstrating why sometimes what you're looking at when clipping indicators all of a sudden light up mean nothing at all, and also sometimes why it is acceptable, and then the best way that I've found throughout my pro work to actually detect if there is a problem with clipping. It's something you can inspect yourself, and this is going to be highly important if you ever work with high-end clients who may come back and go, well, something's not quite right here. You can then discuss it with them and prove this point also. It'll also allows you to get highly consistent and accurate pictures yourself, whether you're doing real estate photography, portrait photography, or if you're doing landscape photography and you want to have something printed large, you want to put it on your wall or in a gallery someplace, you want to have these consistent and accurate results. So let's dive into this and see what clipping is when we see it in software, and then how to deal with it. So the best way to show clipping, I'm going to start in what's probably most familiar with when you've seen clipping. It's within Lightroom. Now, Lightroom is not the best tool to use for the job. I'm going to show why here. Now, first though, to clarify, clipping isn't always bad. Now, this is something I talk about in my book, Mastering Color in Photography, is that sometimes, for instance, if you're capturing starburst flares, there's nothing wrong with having pure white in an area. That would be clipped. And also there's times when pure black would also be desirable. So that's completely fine. When we're taking a look though at a picture, let's look at this one. This was from a shoot last week. I'm down in Redondo Beach capturing a view from a balcony. Now this could be any type of landscape shot that you're doing, shot at the coast. And you can see after I did some editing here, we can see up here at the top that we've got this clipping indicator. So it's highlighted up here, and if I put my mouse over it, or if I click it, it'll stay on. Putting a mouse over it holds it. And then also if you do just J on your keyboard, pressing J, then you can toggle both indicators off or on. You've probably seen this before. Here's the shadow, the black indicator here for black clipping, the shadow clipping, and then also the highlight clipping up here. So we can see that that's showing some clipping, but this is not an accurate representation. Let me show you why first, and then I'll explain it a little bit more. So if we take this and we want to edit this in Photoshop, so after we've applied these adjustments to it, let's say that we want to edit this in Photoshop. And let's edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments, so we're seeing the exact same thing here. So we open that into Photoshop, okay? And let's just take a look at that in the filter Camera Raw filter. Now, as you know, Camera Raw filter is basically the same thing as Lightroom, but it's not when it comes especially to things like clipping. For instance, here we don't see any clipping indicator lit up, and just to make sure, which sometimes there's a little bug in Adobe Camera Raw, that you turn it on and off. So here I can click on that, or if you're in Adobe Camera Raw, you would press O on your keyboard, and that would toggle it on and off. Now, as I'm doing this, you can see that there are some red areas showing up, for instance, down here in the water. So down here in the shore break, we can see if I turn clipping validation on and off, that some of that is clipped. Some of the highlights over here are clipped, some of the volleyball nets, so we can see that there is some clipping, but it is not to the extent that we saw in Lightroom. So when we take a look at Lightroom, the sky is showing that it's clipped. All this other stuff is showing that it's clipped as well. So that's a very deceiving view. And the reason why this is because Lightroom does not allow you to change the working color space. So what it will always do in the develop module, which you're working with when you're editing, is it's always using the ProPhoto RGB color space, which is so wide that about 13% of all of its colors are just mathematical and can't be perceived anyways. So it's a very broad color space, but they do that for a very good reason. Something I also explain in the book is that they do this so that you can see just about anything in here and edit with it, but it becomes highly inaccurate. The other thing too is that we're noticing that there really is no difference how we see it, no matter how we open it, whether we're looking at it in Photoshop, whether we're looking at it over in Lightroom, because what I've done here is my entire workflow is set up to be sRGB, because most of this will be digital. And even if you're doing print, I'll prove it throughout the book too, is that you often don't even need anything but sRGB, and a lot of print houses won't even accept Adobe RGB anymore. Some will though, and there are cases for it. It gets to be a more complicated workflow, but it goes much further than that. Let me demonstrate one more thing before I show a more accurate way of doing this clipping validation. So here we have it. We can see what it looks like in Lightroom, and then we've seen what it looks like when we go over into the Adobe Camera Raw over here, which was hardly anything. So that wasn't bad. But if we take a look at opening Adobe Camera Raw on the finished shot, for instance, from Bridge, things get even more wonky. So this is the exported JPEG that was out of it. And let's open that up in Camera Raw itself. We can do that by just right-clicking on it in Bridge and say Open in Camera Raw. Now you would think Camera Raw is Camera Raw, whether you're using it in Photoshop, whether it's embedded in Lightroom, or whether it's sitting on top of Bridge like it's doing here. But we can see that it's not. Once we turn on the clipping indicators, we're starting to get similar effects to what we had originally back over in Lightroom, where all this sky seems to have some type of weird clipping, but it is different in that we're not seeing the highlight clipping. Instead, we're seeing color clipping. That's why there is a blue icon up here instead of white. So what this is trying to say is that you have exceeded the color limits for whatever color space is selected in Camera Raw for Bridge compared to what was exported for this JPEG, which is completely inaccurate. We can see that down here it was sRGB, and we can see when we're over working in Photoshop, when it was an sRGB file that was brought over, that it didn't have this color clipping to it. It didn't have this issue. So this is an inaccurate result as well. Now there are the abilities to change the color space in Camera Raw preference, and that was from clicking on that little sRGB or whatever would show down here at the bottom of the screen, and you could select a different color space. In this case, let's select Adobe RGB 1998. Immediately that goes away. And we can see that now that problem is gone. Because at this point, no matter what, it thinks that it's still working to do this clipping validation in Adobe RGB. Highly inaccurate. So when we're over in Lightroom, we're seeing clipping because it thinks it's using ProPhoto. And then when we're over here in Bridge, then of course we have the same problem. So Adobe RGB would be fine. We could even go then to the wider ProPhoto, and of course we see better results. So this ProPhoto global encompassing color space is what screws up everything when it comes to using Adobe Camera Raw, either from Bridge or from Lightroom when it's embedded there. So we're left with very little choice then to get really accurate results. So how do we do that? Well, one of the best ways to do that, you can always tell if you have clipping by looking at the histogram. Very simple, but I'm going to dive deeper into a bigger way to validate it. So here we can see the various colors. We could go over here and take a look at the luminosity and clicking on that little indicator on the white. So you can see a little bit of highlight clipping on that, but let's get to the expanded view. Go up here to the hamburger and go to the all channels view. Now we can see more of what's going on. Here it's showing that there could be some clipping in red, a little bit of clipping in blue, a lot of clipping possibly in the blue here compared to the green and red because it's all piled up over there. If we take a look at RGB, we see that there is some type of clipping on to the right, and of course that's mostly from the blue. So let's take a look now at what we can do to simply check if we've got highlight clipping. Color clipping is not something to be too concerned about, but when you get into that, it's a more complicated topic that I do talk about in the book, and that's when you want to check it using a type of color clipping validation. But at that point too, you should also double check with saturation validation and, if necessary, soft proofing. The easiest way to check for the highlight clipping in a case like this using Photoshop is to merely take an adjustment layer on the top. So let's go up to Layer. Let's go to a new adjustment layer, and let's just pick brightness and contrast. It can be almost any type of layer. If you go to the mask, which is automatically created when you create an adjustment layer, double click on it. And now you'll get the properties for the mask. You could have also selected it from up here, but you want the mask selected so that you have these selections. You want to select color range. Now this is a way to create a mask based off some type of selected sample. You might have seen this for doing sky swaps where I select different sample colors, and that's what this would look like. What we want to do though is in select, we want from that drop down to select the highlights. Now in here, we want to select only the potentially clipped highlights. To do that, you take the fuzziness to 0 so that there's no tolerance, and then take the range completely to the far end of the tonal range, which is 255. Click OK. If we take a close look, we can see that there's little white dots here, but we can't really tell what is selected. So it did select just those clipped highlights. If we go over here to then the channels view though, we can get a better look. So you click on channels and make sure that then this, our little mask here for brightness and contrast, is the only thing selected. Turn off all those others. Now we can see the various areas that are clipped. So there we can see that breakwater has been clipped. We can see that over here that these volleyball nets are clipped, and we can see those areas are potentially then clipped. So that helps us get a better view of what we're seeing. So now that we've got that selected, you could use this layer, for instance, to decrease those highlighted areas. You can try to do that in Lightroom, but once again, this is inaccurate on what it's showing. So instead what you can do is you can duplicate this layer. I'll do it by just hitting Ctrl-J. Now we can go up to Filter, Camera Raw Filter with this layer. And now let's just reduce our highlights. So now that we've reduced our highlights across the board, we can say OK. Now what we can do is we could take this mask here and click on that brightness one. Don't have to have the layer on, but you hit Control-Click. And that then selects those areas. Select our adjusted layer and then click on this icon down here, which will add a mask to those areas. So that's now the only areas that are affected by that adjustment layer. So now if we zoom in, see over here, it saved it on the building, which is a broader area to see. If we turn it on and off, you can see some of the breakwater came back and then some of the building came back as well. So that will help us get a lot closer to what really is clipped, and then also how you can edit it. Now, the color clipping part of it is a much more complicated step to go through, and that's where we have to check for the validation of colors along with it. Something I'll cover in the book. If you're interested in seeing a tutorial on that, just let me know, leave me me a comment and see about making a video on that as well. But once again, if you're relying on Lightroom to do your clipping, it's going to be highly inaccurate. If you're relying on using Bridge and trying to do Camera Raw in there as well, then you're also going to have highly inaccurate results on this. That's not going to show you everything because once again, we're trying to work, or Lightroom and Adobe, they're trying to work in the Pro Photo workspace. But that's not the color space that we want to use. When we're over in Photoshop, things are much different. So now we can see a better representation of it if we go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. And here now it's forcing it to work, forcing Camera Raw to work within the working color space that we had selected earlier. And this is all part of your configuration. If you go up to Edit and you go to Color Settings, and in here, that's where you see everything is working off sRGB. I'm also got special things here to preserve the embedded profiles, but knowing this then as the core foundation for everything built on top of Photoshop, this carries over then into the Adobe Camera Raw engine so we get far more accurate results. So clipping isn't always bad. Clipping can be just meeting a state of purity that you want in your photos. So there's a lot to cover with that, and of course I have more information in my book, Mastering Color in Photography. But for this video, I hope this was useful for you to give you some more understanding on clipping and how it pertains to your photography. I hope that you can use this in some of your photography as well, and if you do want to see more of these videos, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It won't cost anything. And as soon as one of these videos is posted, you'll be the first to know. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, take care, be safe, and get out there and shoot something.